Well, hello, I'm early. I'm just getting the camera all set up. And I don't know if anyone's going to be able to join live or on record, but I get it. So give me 1 minute. We've got a couple minutes here before start time. Here I am on my laptop. Here we go. This helps me keep my hand in the camera and to adjust it a little bit. I did have to go up a little higher, but I still think we can see good. If you do make any comment, it takes a little bit for me to see it. There is a delay between camera and live and landing in comments on my screen. But here we go. Happy Martin Luther King Day. It worked out well for our area, for the kids to be off on a holiday. Since it's bitter cold, they don't have to go get out in that or cancel school for winter weather again. They save one for later on. All right, I show 11 o'clock. So this is a little project we're going to make. There's layers to this. And we're going to start with our piece of corrugated cardboard, so we get that painted up and let it dry a little bit. Of course, I've lost my little sheets of paper. So let me see. In your kit, you would have had a little bit of glitter. You would have had 2 sets of words in case they get messed up. I need to get this opened up one more time. Give me a sec, just in case there's a late member request. I need another Facebook page open. Let's see, what's called Winter Glitter, Mixed Media. All right. That way, every so often, I can check and see if anyone's requesting to join. There we go. I'm going to hit refresh on that. Okay, that's looking good. No member requests, so I'm going back to the one playing. Okay, so I'm just going to toggle back and forth on a couple tabs just for maybe the first 10 minutes of class. All right, so back to what you should have. You should have a piece of paper, and the snowflakes are still in it. You'll want to gently pop those out because we'll use the snowflakes in our decoration, but we're going to use this as a makeshift stencil. I said it's a one-time use. This is the one I did use. I was too lazy to make another one, so hopefully I can make this go again. I used really heavy 110-pound cardstock to cut these out, so hopefully that works. If you tear one of your snowflakes popping them out, that doesn't matter. Just find the area that's got a couple of snowflakes. We'll just move it around a little bit to add the background. I'm certainly not laying the whole thing down and making the exact stencil of that paper. It's just a makeshift way that I can create a kit that's affordable, something we can mail out. All right, so you should have those. You should have a piece of lighter weight cardstock, and that's what we're going to back our little snowman dictionary paper. Can't think of, I also glued down the Snowflakes Are Nature's Glitter words to this too. So we'll use I just got scrapped. You should have a whole sheet. And then of course our dictionary paper. So I'm going to set all that aside for now. Keep my stencil, because we'll get the painting done and then let that dry a little bit while we work on our other pieces. All right. So I'm going to do the first thing, which is you've got some bad sides and some good sides. It doesn't matter which side. This one's got a little bit of tape left on, so I'm just going to work on the bad side. And I'm taking that piece of tape and using it, and I'm never going to be able to make art the same way twice. So can you see down here, I've kind of grabbed that corner piece, bringing it up. I don't want to tear the whole thing away, so I'm going to kind of tear here, or it might. So it takes a little bit of muscle. So I've got a couple pieces going. That's looking pretty good. So we'll go ahead and finish where that wants to go. Because even if it doesn't go all the way to the open, the corrugated, I like the rougher place there as well. Okay. And then if I want some more, if you want more, you can just break it with your fingernail and tear away. So that's completely up to you, but I wanted to show you that too. Let's see if I want to tear away any more. I think that looks pretty good. Maybe a little bit in this corner. So I'm going to turn it toward me. See if I can get a start here. So just come across with my fingernail. So you get yours the way you like it. I'm liking that. Now I'm thinking, did I say a different time than 11? Ooh, maybe I should go check one of my posts. Let me go do that, because I can describe this from there. But this would be the direction I would go. And I want to get away the loose pieces so it doesn't catch in the paint that we're going to add next. So just give me 1 second. Bear with me. Want to double check myself. Because my brain's been going like this lately, so I wouldn't doubt that I have messed this up. Bear with me. Let me go find a post where we're offering this class, and we'll just take a look. Oh, Karen requested to join. Wasn't showing. So it must be 11 o'clock is good. I'm going to give Karen a second to join me. Karen, let me know if you've, when you've got here to this page, and then I'll catch you up with what we've done. All we've done is torn off our pieces on our corrugated cardboard, and you've done that before, so we'll let you get that done. We'll just give it a minute. It's just a couple of us, and I know Tammy lives in a different time zone, which is a great thing about the power of Facebook Lives, that we can reach across where we wouldn't be able to work with each other, play with each other, create together. Oh, I didn't turn my light on. Let's see if that makes this any better, too. It didn't add a terrible lot, but doesn't hurt. Ooh, there we go. Might be adding a few shadows. So hopefully, Karen, you can get into the group and hit refresh and find the live video that's going. Wish I could hit mute. So sorry I had to blow my nose. I don't know how. I haven't been anywhere. I don't know how I would have caught a cold again. I haven't been anywhere. Been with anybody. All right. Well, while we're waiting, what I like to do too is I'll show you the paints. Now, I've got some really good expensive paints that if I'm going to try to paint a canvas or something, I probably go to. When I'm playing and experimenting, I have, a big bucket of paint for that too. So what I've got is gesso, This is really runny. Sometimes it isn't as opaque as I like it to be, but it's a nice place to start. And then I've got some ivory. I've got turquoise. I've got a really soft pink. This is just for our snow, right? The things I want to use for snow. And then I also have, I go through white paint like you wouldn't believe, but I've got some gold and titanium white. It's really heavy body. I've even got a knife to dig it out to put it on the palette. So let's get some paint on our palette. So what I use is just lots of times just a paper plate. So I'm going to throw a little bit of this soft pink. And I think I've used a lot of this. It's getting low. I don't like these bottles. I like the paint, but I don't like the way these, this is Stamperia. It came in a set. I bought 2 sets. But I don't like the squeeze action on these, so I won't buy them again. Only for that reason, just the way they're packaged. Isn't that funny? And then here's ivory, so I'm going to put it, I put that wet turquoise there, so I'll put the ivory over here. I like to put light colors by each other, but okay. Dry, ivory, dry. I wasn't thinking. Okay, here's this big bucket of white. Where'd that knife go? There it is. So I'm just going to put a blob of this white over here. And if it mixes a little bit, that's fine. Because I don't like to waste paint, you see what I'm doing here? I just threw my knife onto there. Okay, so I've got my palette of paint. I'm kind of wondering if that angle has moved. Bear with me. It's going to take it a second for me to see how that adjusted. Oh, that's not better. Which way did I go? Let's go this way. I think that's a little better. I'm going to leave it there. So I also need some paint brushes. I might need to get more white out, so I'm going to leave that knife. So I want kind of a broad stroke when I'm going to get my initial covering. So it doesn't, all I've got handy right now is this angled brush. It does not have to be angled. It can be a flat. It's better to use some type of flat brush, whether it's got the rounded edge, which I think is called a filberts, or this angle, or a straight across. And I'm going to use my really fluid gesso. So you want something pretty fluid this first time across. And I'm just starting to mute out that corrugated chipboard here. I don't want it to feel like it's got to be exact. So I'm moving my brush stroke in different directions. And I'm just dipping my brush right into this gesso because it is so fluid. And I don't mind if a little bit of that brown tan comes through. I'm coming all the way down to the bottom, imperfectly. I do have a splat mat underneath me, and then underneath that I've got a big piece of watercolor paper that eventually I'll cut apart and paint on. Sometimes on the front side where I've goobered it all up, sometimes on the back side where I've only half goobered it up. Okay, and you don't have to, once you get painting, if you want it to go a different direction, you can flip your piece and see if you like it better this way, or if you want to turn it and you like it better that way. So take a look at what you like. But that's probably where I would start for my first coat. Something very fluid, very imperfect. So I'm going to shut this down, and I think I've got some water next to me so I can kind of clean my brush off. Okay, then the next thing we're going to start doing is building our hills. So we want a couple of hills for our snowman. So I'm going to start with the heavy body white just to define these hills. And I'm going to do the first one, let's see, kind of like that actually. So I'm going to come this way. I'm just going to start building a hill. And we're going to define it with other color. Okay, so that's hill number 1. And then closer to us, I'm going to put just a little bit of ivory into my white, and I'm going to go the other direction. So I'm going to kind of come this way. Just a big kind of a half circle down here. Okay, so we'll do this one last. Let's get the first one. So what I like to do is mix a little bit of different color in there. So I'm going to start with some light pink. And I'm just going to dab that along this hill because snow isn't perfectly white. Now I'm going to take some of the aqua, I think is what it's called, and just kind of with the edge of my brush, not the flat part, throw in some streaks of the aqua. So you kind of get the feeling of a hill. Throwing back in a little bit of that pink. And again, if you use the edge of your brush very loosely, you can kind of see the lines of the hill. So I'm going to do the same thing with the white on the bottom. I'm not going to add the teal this time. It's going to be all the cream and white and maybe a little pink. So you can really see the definition of the next hill. And some teal's coming across on because I didn't clean my brush. That's fine. All right, so I'm getting happy with that you can kind of tell there's 2 different lines going. Again, the messier you are, the better. So if you see, I'm kind of holding my brush, and I'm even turning it a little bit. That lets that little bit of ridge happen. Makes me stay really loose. So you can see the definition of one line and the other line here. Hope that makes sense. All right, so now I'm going to turn it upside down. And we're going to do our first set of little snowflakes up in the sky, okay? So first of all, I'm just going to clean my brush. I don't think that a blending tool is going to work because this is really thick paper. These are going to be very imperfect, but you can kind of see that they are snowflakes. I'm going to use my same paintbrush. Get just little pieces of it. So more like wall stenciling. Right, with our little stencil brushes. Can you see them start to come through? Not real thick, or you get those lines like that, which is fine for a little bit of it. Did I say that I can't make the same painting twice? I'm going to grab some of my leftover teal, turquoise, whatever this color is. Just adding the hint of our snowflakes. And if cleaning, really pouncing on this brush blends colors, I'm fine with that. Just using the same color palette. Adding some snowflakes up at the top there. And now I'm going to come in, because the brush is pretty cleaned up, and I'm going to try to add some really stark white ones. Don't be afraid to work to the edge. And don't be afraid to throw a few right on top of your hill. And I never know exactly how it's going to show up, but it's just layering, right? Okay. Let's go back to our teal. So if you ever need a stencil, throw some of your dyes in there. Lay them out the way you like them. Cut away. Okay, so that's enough for me for right now. I want to get out my next color, so I do want to clean my brush. A little bit anyway. And somewhere I've got some silver. So silver or gold. I think silver is a little closer to, wintry feel. But I'm going to throw a little bit of silver here. I won't buy this again. In case you didn't know, if it's open, Golden created this a couple of years ago maybe, and it's slower to dry. So it's supposed to be mimicking oil paints. But we're not doing anything that if we run into it, it wouldn't hurt. So I'm going to grab some silver now and throw a couple of silver snowflakes in there. And we can come back and add some more after we know where our snowman's going to live. For composition, this is just layering the background. Can you see that silver coming through? Let's see if I can bring it up to the camera a little bit more. Takes it just a second. Yeah, you can kind of see. All right, so I'm going to move to my other side so I stay balanced a little bit. Remember, our snowman's going to be about there. So if I want this really pretty one, I'm going to move it over here. And I don't mind with that. I've got a snowflake just half hanging off the edge there. I kind of like that. That's probably enough for right now. So now I'm going to set this aside, let it dry a little bit, and that way maybe if I need to add a couple more in the end, I can. So I'm going to set it aside and let it dry. I'm going to take my silver, and I'm just going to kind of roughly paint along my edges, just to give it kind of a wintry feel. So when this is in your stand, you've kind of got a framed finish. And if you don't have silver, pick a teal or your pink. Trying to find where I can hold this. Not put my finger in wet paint. I was going to do my nails before class, and I thought, oh, what's the use? And I'm bringing my silver in every so often, just so I'm marrying the two colors. All right, I got to put that down for a minute so I can dig out some more paint. We got just a little bit to go. I don't think I'm going to have to dig out any more silver. And just a little bit down here in this corner. And I'll come through a little bit more onto my snow. All right. So I have painted all around my edges in my silver. So I'm definitely going to put my paintbrush in the water, swirl it around a little bit. Okay, and I took out way too much white paint. So, and because golden is such expensive paint, I'm going to scoop up some of this and get it back into my jar. All right. Oh, I feel so thrifty. Whoops. As I almost dumped the whole thing. Okay. I have a little bit on my brush. Let's see. On my knife. All these actions just add layers of interest. So I'm just cleaning off my knife before I set it aside. Okay. Pardon me. So let's set this aside to dry. We're probably going to add a few more layers, but we need to work on building our little snowman. So find your dictionary paper. And then I just happened, I started a free cut, and then I thought, nope, I'm not going to do that. So I found this guy, and this guy. And that's what ended up making my bottom, my body, and my face. So I'm just going to trace these 3 circles. So find 3 circles to trace or freehand it. And then I thought I was going to do the flip side for the actual circle. But I liked the line showing through. So I like it imperfect. I kind of don't like that circle right in the center of the margin. You know what? I'm going to leave it. I'm just going to go with it. If I hate it later, I can draw another one. So again, I'm not, ooh, that's a really bad one. It's okay. I found this fountain pen that I haven't been working with, but I finally loaded it up with some ink. And then when I went to grab it again, it is working. All right, these are very imperfect circles. Fine. And I love a little bit of lines around it. So now I'm going to cut these out and then find your lighter weight papers, because we're going to glue those and cut it out again. I just felt like this needed a little bit of girth to it, or strength with more paper, to glue to that bumpy background. And actually, I ended up loving the 2 layers. But we're not going to glue them yet. Okay, there's that one. So I'm not cutting, I'm cutting just outside those traced lines as imperfectly as I'm cutting. 2. And his little face. This might be too small, but every snowman we make is different. And 3. All right, so there's our snowman. So now what I'd like to do is, I'm going to get a wet wipe out. So hopefully I've got most of that silver off of my brush. And I'm going to go in with a little bit of water that's on my brush from cleaning it. Maybe just a little bit more. And a little bit of the blue. See, I'm just splattering onto here. I'll dry that off, get some more water. going to go in with the ivory. Do a few more splatters. I want to be able to see the dictionary paper, but I don't want it to be so pure. This was the pink, but it's really not showing up, so I'm even going to just take my brush and hit my edges a little bit with that pink. All right, and then I'm going to take and blot a little bit of that. That's why I want my little wet wipe. So I'm just muddying it up a little bit. So I'm going to let those dry. We're going to do the same thing with our words. So let's get our words ready to go. I'll put my paint back in the water, or my brush back in the water. So you've got two, just in case one got messed up. It was easy to print two of them. So I'm going to cut them out. Just one set. Ooh, bear with me, I gotta turn my heater off. It goes from hot to cold. Okay. Let's get the whole quick. And I'm cutting pretty close to the words. I think on the other one, I went a little further away. It doesn't matter. Again, I have never been able to do something exactly the same 2 times in a row. So I'm going to lay these down here, and we're going to splatter these as well, just to kind of muddy them up a little bit. And then try to, when I glue them down in the right order. I liked that phrase, snowflakes are nature's glitter. That's not mine. I saw it on Pinterest someplace. Okay, so let's get my wet brush again. Dip a little bit in. These are smaller, so you need less, right? But it needs to be watery. There we go. I'm just going to try to speckle these a little bit. Oh, right on top of the word. If that happens, just wipe it away. So I'm just going to daub it. Just seems to be working better. And then come back and grab it with my wet wipe. There we go. You could put some paint on the actual splat mat and drag it through. Just want to dirty it up a little bit. I'm coming in some of my white. I want to be able to still read the words. So that's probably good enough for me. Just not so stark right out of the computer printer. All right, so I'm going to set these aside and let them be drying. You could use one of those, I've got one right beside me. What do they call them? It's not a hair dryer. Heat gun. All right. Whoops, that guy didn't turn very well. There we go. Okay. I have some tweezers over here. All right. Just cleaning up my area a little bit. So now we've got these snowflakes. We're going to make a big mess. I'm actually going to do it. I have a second piece of paper here. I should save that for the glitter. Wish I had a little piece. I have a piece of scrap paper over here. I think I'm going to work with that. Just because we're going to put glue down and then, so let me think through this. All right, so I'm going to use this to catch my glitter. I'm going to use this to put my glue on. I need to change. I need to find my little tweezers. Here they are. Not quite so little. Okay, I've got my glitter. So find yours. This. Let's see, what else do we need? So that'll catch it. Glue. I think that's it. All right, so let's start. You can use gel medium. I've got, here's my medium. I've got Liquitex acrylic mediums. I have so many mediums. You wouldn't believe it. I think this one might be brand new. So I'm going to make sure, pull my little protective seal off. They're just all forms of glue. All right. So what I'm going to do is make a puddle of glue. Kind of spread it around with my fingers so I get nice and messy. Okay. So I'm going to lay, there's definitely a top and a bottom edge to these snowflakes. So I'm going to lay it top in to my design. Take my tweezers, pick it up carefully out of this. I have to use my fingernails. Ugh. Oh, that's really wanting to stick in that glue. There we go. Flip it with the glue side up. I've got a little spoonful. You have probably a little shaker. But I'm just now shaking that glitter on top of the snowflake. So now I'm going to take my tweezers. Look at that, huh? So, and then I'm going to set it off to the side and let it dry. All right, let's do the same thing with another snowflake. You can do as many of these as you'd like. Just going to lay it into my glue. Get some nice coating. Lift it up. Make sure it's got a lot of glitter. There we go. I'm going to gather that glitter in a minute. You may have to gather each time and re-scoop, but it doesn't take that much glitter. Let's see if my tweezers will work again. I think I work better with my fingernails. So it's got a nice coating of glitter. We'll do it again. I don't know if I need to add some glue yet. I think I'm okay for now. Lay that down and take another scoop of glitter. So many crafty things that we do in scrapbooking and making cards transfers to mixed media, right? That's what I love about it. Okay. Yep, good amount of glitter on that one. All right, so I'll do the same thing. So again, this is just repeat, right? I'm going to scoop my glitter up, put it back in. And this is a tiny one, so I'm going to see if I can get enough glue just from the residual here without putting some more down yet. Okay. So this takes a little time. Just bear with me if you're bored. I'm sorry. Let's see. Don't quite have a hold of it. I'm trying not to touch too much of the top till it dries. Okay, now I definitely need to add a little bit of glue again. Just scrap piece of copy paper. This is actually when I cut shipping labels. My husband does all that work. Then he cuts these into nice same size pieces of the leftover paper. And then I have a bunch of note paper or scrap paper. The heavier you can go on the first layer, it's all gonna, whatever doesn't stick is gonna go right back into your pile, but just makes them nice and glittery. And I think you really need to do one at a time. Look at that, I could just be lazy there. Lay it into my pile. Woo, like it. That one's just fine. Look at the longer I go in this, the less I care about keeping my fingers clean. I'm just dragging it through my pile. I like it. It's almost getting more glitter on it that way. Smushing it down into the glue. I definitely think I need to add some more glitter here. And that might not be, well, I don't think it's going to hurt the glitter when you scoop it back in. Get over here. All right, there he is. Whoops. I'm not so good with tweezers. Forget it. Forget it. All right. That might be enough for me. Oh, I've got one little guy. I'm going to do him too because I've got glue sitting here. I just made a bigger pile. Just not grabbing quite as much. There we go. Good enough. All right. So I can dump this back and save that glitter for later. I don't need this. Look at how easy that is for cleanup. Definitely need to clean the glue off the tips of my fingers. So now we're going to let those snowflakes dry a little bit too. And let's paint some paper so it can dry. So you should have one sheet, another sheet just like that to paint your own colored paper. So here's my leftover from when I made it. So again, I just threw some paint colors onto my white paper. So if you've got it, I used kind of a rosy red, black, and orange for the nose because we're going to cut the little carrot nose out of that too. So I'm going to, I hope I thought about doing scrap paper. Give me just a second. So let's see. I'm not going to have full sheets. Okay. Here's my colors. Here's my orange. We will take very little orange. So I'll just show you a little bit. Ugh. If I can get this to open. This is a nice brand. I don't know how they say it. PBO? I have no idea. But it's a nice brand. And I'm going to want to make sure my brush is clean and pretty dry. And I'm just going to spread this around and make my own colored paper. So that's plenty to cut out a carrot. And I have a couple of first attempts that I don't like. And then my rosy red is right here. And that's for the little heart. And I did that for the band, whoops, on the hat. Oops, that was a pretty wet brush. I might have to come back and do another coat. Pretty wet brush. Let's see if I can dry it off. All right, come back here, pretty red, rosy red. Yeah, I like this. This is a newer, I think it was on sale. Winsor & Newton. I'd never tried this brand of acrylic paint before. It's called Permanent Rose. Okay. Dry brush this time, dry brush. So you might need 2 coats to get what you want. I don't mind some brush strokes in it. Okay. And then the last color is going to be black. I don't think I grabbed my black, but I have plenty left from here. So paint your black. And I'm going to let this dry a little bit. Clean off my little workspace. Just so it doesn't rub into something else that I don't want it to. Okay. So this took me a couple of attempts to try to cut my hat. So you can see even where it ended up being. So I'm just going to cut. See if I can straighten that out a little bit. There, it's mined a little bit better. Oh, you know, I'm going to put my container lid back on my glitter bin, or I will spill it, because I know me. Let's make a little room. I don't think I need tweezers right now. I'm not going to use those two little snowflakes. We're done with those. We are going to use our glue again to put everything down. Okay, so I'm going to take the circle that's the size of my head, and I'm just going to, it's an eyeball thing. Ooh, I can almost see a line there. I'm going to cut kind of a square. If I cut it too big, I can cut it down. If I cut it too small, I have to cut another one. That's not a bad size for the top of his hat. I might need to cut it down a little bit, but first I'm going to cut the brim. And I think on my demo one, I thought the brim was a little too wide, the brim of the hat. A little too thick. So you're just cutting squares and rectangles. I think that'll glue together just fine for the size of my hat. So find the size circle that you made for your snowman, cut kind of a big rectangle and then a long narrow rectangle. We're going to do a little collaging, glue them together. And then I've got a scrap of my old red. I'm going to make a narrow band. So I can trim that off. So I can trim that to the length of my hat for his little snowman hat. So I've got those just pieces. We're just creating our collage pieces. Okay. And then my little nose, I'm going to start with one. You can see I tried a couple here. So I'm just going to start with a couple triangles. I like that little nose, first time out. Actually, this is my third time trying because I've got the life experience of making the demo. So don't expect perfection. I worked out a lot of kinks just making it the first time. Bear with me, so sorry. I wish I could mute. I wish I could mute. Okay. So we've got, let's bring what we're making back in. So we've got the piece for our hat, for the brim, for the little band. We've got our carrot nose. Now let's make our heart. And what I did an old kindergarten sheet. So take a square of your red-ish. Folded it in half, and I did the old cut the heart. And then when I didn't like the exact shape, I came back and doctored it up again. So that it doesn't have a deep enough indent for me. And this might be a little too big. So I'm going to bring my center body and do a dress rehearsal. It's actually kind of cute, and I actually wouldn't mind if it hung over my edge a little bit. But I'm going to make sure that I draw the 3 buttons on first this time, and then place it. But I don't mind that size. So get a heart to the size that you like. But I like this guy. He's a little bigger maybe than my last one. Don't lose your carrot nose. Okay. Get over there. Okay. So I'm done with my colored paper that we made out of our paint. Now it's time to start gluing down our collage to our sheets of paper so that it has time to dry a little bit. So I'm going to start with this piece. And I'm going to do the old, I'm going to get another piece of scrap paper so I have less cleanup. I'm going to take my, you can use gel medium, whatever you like. I'm just going to spread it around with my finger, and I'm going to add it to this lighter weight cardstock, leaving a little edge that I can cut and leave some of that white showing. I don't think this guy will fit on there, but my head will. I just sent my carrot nose flying. So again, I'm just going to put a little bit on the back there, rub it around with my finger so I can get it to all the edges, and then place it here on the white and press down. We're finger painting, so I'm going to let those dry before we cut them out. And I'm just pressing down to make sure they grab and don't create any bubbles. So you may want to do the same. And also the heat of our body helps glue to seal and dry. So you might just want to place your warm palm over it for a minute. Just like so. And I'm going to flip it and do the same thing on the back. So I'm just kind of pressing it into place before it has time to dry in a funny bubble way. That you can't fix those as easily. All right, so I like how they're drying. So let me get another bigger piece right here for my snowman body. I hear something outside. I don't know what's going on there. All right. And then with my dry fingers, not my glue finger, I'm going to put that on my white. And I still don't like that center margin, but I'm going to live with it. And again, I'm just kind of palm setting it, the heat of my body. Flip it over and kind of do the same. I learned this when years ago we went to an event, and it was for Diane Reevely, and we made some kind of a book, and she said, okay, now put it in the bum oven. So we had to sit on our books and have the heat of our body set that weight. This one's really wet. Really wet. Okay, it's got a little bit of a concave going here, but I think it'll be okay once I cut it out. So I must have gone a little heavy on the glue. The last ones we're going to do this to are our words. So let's get I've got another piece of my paper. All right, let's just carefully, I can maybe even just scoop some of this leftover from the big snow body. These are so tiny that I'm not going to put the glue on the word first, like I did on the snowman body. Okay, so there's one. This is teeny tiny. There's two. And I want them separate because I want white borders around all of the edges of the words. It would be easier to do them all at one time. Definitely. But it just, and this one's a little goobered up, and I think that's part of mixed media. I don't mind that it's goobered up at the edge. It got a little wrinkle or something on it. That's kind of the nice thing about mixed media, right? If it messes up, it's just part of the art. All right, so let's see if I can get my palm on all of that. Flip it, do the same thing, kind of just press it down till that glue has a chance to set. I think I'm done for the moment. So I'm going to put the lid on my glue, get this out of the way. Now we can cut out our little circles and leave a little bit of this white edge here. Getting ready to put a snowman on the page. I hope you don't mind collage, because collage is definitely a part of creating this little scene. I like collage. If it feels cold to the touch, that glue is still wet. So mine feels cold to the touch. So I'm just leaving just a little bit, very imperfect circle of that white around the dictionary paper. Sometimes I cut those away when I get tired of dragging it along. A lot of my fussy cutting. All right, there's my 3 snowman pieces. I'll do the same thing now with my words. So again, not perfect. Leave a little bit of our edge. Whoops. There's one word. Getting hungry. Just a little bit. All right. So make sure I'm not throwing away any words here. Okay. Snowflakes are nature's glitter. So they're all there. So I can get rid of that. Okay, let's see how our base is drying. While I get that out, I'll lay this here so you can kind of see where we're going. Let me get mine. But there's inspiration for you. And here's my new one. Very different. Definitely not the same, but the same idea. All right, so let's start to see where your snowman wants to live on the hill. So do I want to have him be part of this hill? Over here. Kind of like I've got this pink right here. So that's kind of where mine lends itself. He's going to be too high when I get the hat on him. So he must be a little bigger snowman. So I'm going to have him come down here to this next level. And again, these guys are going to overlap. And then by the time I put my hat on, yep. So I like this. This is where mine's going to live. So you test out a couple places yours will live. But I'm liking this right here. Now, what I like to do with this part is add it with a glue gun. So if you have a hot glue gun, great. If you don't, it's not necessary. But I'm going to power mine up and get an extra stick. If you have it, you want to power it on. What did I tip over? Oh. If the table wiggled, I'm sorry. I must be asking the cord to do a little too much. Let me get a glue stick. I'll be right back. It's close by. Okay. So the other thing I did the last time is I took a pencil, which I don't have. Yeah, I do. This one's kind of water soluble. But I kind of gave myself a hint of where I decided. So I just drew a light little curve there to help me remember where I wanted to place my snowman. Okay. Can we do it? No, this has got to go behind. So I'm going to leave him here for now and glue this one on. If they're curving, just bend them the other way so they're a little flatter. So that's flatter now. And that's flatter now. I guess I did do them on top of each other. That's not really right, is it? I mean, it should be. Or maybe I'll stay consistent. Let's stay consistent. So I'm going to glue this one down first. I don't get hung up on the right stuff. Oh my gosh. Now somehow I think I unplugged this. Well, let's skip the glue gun. If you've got it, do that. I'd like to use a little stronger. Like if you've got Dina Ultra Thick Gel Medium, that would be good. Which maybe that's why I had that in my bin. But I don't see it now. I've got lots of, let me grab something. You're going to want something that, I think the lighter weight would work, but everything is really wet here. And so I want to, this is matte super heavy gel. So I'm just going to wipe it along my edges here. I want it to grab and to be able to stick over all of the layers of paint and maybe some ridges of my corrugated cardboard. All right, I want to make sure my words are going semi-right. And I'm just working with that little hint line that I gave myself. A hot glue gun will work too. It's whatever you've got handy. I'm going to do the same thing now with the belly or the body. I didn't tell you this in the list of supplies. My apologies. I think the same more fluid that we were using earlier would work. It just may take a little longer to dry. Use what you have. It will all work. Again, I'm just kind of paying attention to the words and I'm overlapping them slightly. If you have something heavy to set on it, that would be great while it dries. I have this really heavy paint. I think that's all I have around. I guess I could put this guy on it. Just like that, and I'm going to clean the glue off my fingers with my wet wipe. Because the next thing we're going to do is put our snowflakes on, and you want to start with some clean fingers so that you're not sticking to those little guys. Looks like when I dropped the glue gun, it started to type a message to all you guys. So I'm just giving that a minute to set up, cleaning my fingers. To take this opportunity to kind of clean up. All right, I think I'm ready to collage some more. Okay, so before we do a bunch of decorating, I want to lay out where my words are going to go. Snowflakes are nature's. I wanted them going kind of along a snowbank, but this is kind of a snowbank too. So if you've got one, so I'm just kind of laying it out along a snowbank. Where's my word glitter? There it is. Okay, I like that. So let's go ahead and get our words. That's the important thing, right? Kind of our little message to ourselves or to whoever comes in and sees this cute little thing or whoever you give this to. I'm going to keep sticking with this heavy body. Matte super heavy gel. And it's going to dry kind of fast too, so you let it move. Again, if it gets goobered as it goes down, I'm fine with that. But I don't think you want a bunch of edges flipping up, so get your corners. Try to find a snowbank or build your own. And you guys can maybe find easier ways around it. I sometimes end up making things harder on myself than it has to be. We definitely have our share of nature's glitter in the Omaha metro area where I live, which we've been due for a winter like this. We've had a bunch of very mild winters. Okay, and then kind of get the goober of glue off your fingers if you're finger painting like I am. I'm going to go ahead and set some weight on those while they set up. And it's going to take me a minute to get this glue off. And we'll move to our snowflakes next. Actually, we should put our hat on so we know where to put our snowflakes around our snowman. So let's do that. So that's where we're moving to next, is the little hat and the band. Okay, I think most of the wet glue is off of my fingers. I think I've got some that's dry, but that's okay. I gave that enough time. Guess it could sit there. Let's put the heavier over there with overlapping. Okay, so now we've got our little hat on the guy. So this guy doesn't really matter where, whoops, because the brim is what's going to go over the head like it's sitting on the snowman, if you can see. And I'm going to put mine tilted just a bit. So now I can decide, is it too big? Is it okay? And he's got more of a top hat this time around. So I'm going to let it be. And it's got a crooked line cut. That's okay too. I'm going to get it on all the corners. And then just place it. That's a little too crooked for me. There we go. Okay, and then along this brim, and I got a little bit on the front, but that should dry clear. If not, he's just got some snow hitting the brim of his hat. Okay, now my real narrow piece, I need to get my scissors so I can kind of eyeball. Right there is where I need to trim it to be the same length. It's not going to take much to glue him down. So let's see if I've got enough on my finger here. Looks good. All right, so there's the brim of my hat. Okay, so I need my nose right about there, so I have room to do some eyes. Definitely want to make sure you've got some of this at the tip of that angle that we cut, the very tip. So it all lays down nice. And at this point, it's just going to be kind of where it goes. So that's where his nose lives. And I just put the lid on in between so that I help keep it from not completely drying out. And now that we've got the main elements, we're going to save this time because I didn't. I had to kind of squish in a button. We'll draw in his buttons next and then add our heart. I said bring an ink cube. I must have inked some edges, but I didn't do that this time. I don't think we're lacking anything. I think it's okay. All right, the glue is mostly off my fingers again. We can put this on top of the hat while it's drying. Nothing wrong with that. So if you've got some weight, move it around. And then let's start test driving our beautiful glitter snowflakes. So depending on how many you did, I'm just laying them for now. I might need a little bit bigger over here. I think we overlap this guy onto the snowflake. Just kind of marries everything. I like that idea too. So it could be more center. So again, find what you like, because then we're going to get messy and glue them all down again. I'll probably put that little one right there by snowflakes. All right, so I like where mine are. Oh, but here was the other mistake I made. Think about where you're going to draw your hands, because I didn't. And I didn't quite have enough room where I'd like it to be. So I should have some place my black gel pen. So I'm going to go ahead right now and draw in some stick branches. So I'm going to come in off of the circle, and then I'm just going to draw some added branches. So that's his first little arm. So it kind of looks like he's waving at us. I've got to turn to stay in camera. And this one could have maybe a little bend to it. Those are almost like his little hands, right? Just giving a little bit more oomph to the hands. So hopefully that looks okay. Now we can place our snowflakes. Actually, while I have the pen, I'm going to go ahead and finish drawing him in. Let's do that, because if I have the buttons, then we can glue down the heart. So I can color these in and adjust the size a little bit. I'm just going to kind of draw them in. That doesn't look bad to me. So I'm going to go ahead and finish my button color in. Needs to be a little bit bigger. Okay, so now I've got to have two little eyes. There's his eyes this time. And then I'm going to start down here under the nose and do a little smile. All right, and then to give him a little personality, I gave him eyebrows, just little upside down V's. All right, so now I used a glaze pen, a Sakura glaze, And that takes a little time to dry, but it's got a raised feeling to it. So at that point then I would glue down my little heart. So I am going to, let's see, I need another piece of scratch paper. There we go. And I want to see if you can see this because I put that up to dry. Yep, okay. So I'm going to take my glaze pen and do just a rough double outline. And it's wet, so I can't put my finger on it. The messier the better. There we go. And then you can do a little zigzag like you sewed that on. I'm going to let that dry for a minute. Just sit right there on the scrap piece of paper, and then we'll glue that down. All right, last thing to do. Two things. We're going to put some glossy accents on his nose. And that can be drying. Okay, and if you don't have a glaze pen, then you can put glossy accents on top of your pen work if you wanted to. And now I'm going to get my fingers messy again and just glue down these pretty snowflakes. And I think I'm going to go with the Real Fluid acrylic medium. Yep, right here. Just because I'm going to just drag them in that glue and lay them down. I need to clean up my work area. Okay, let's get those away. We don't need our circle makers anymore. I think we're done with scissors. Okay, so now we've got some room to work. Okay, so here's my pile of glue. Let's start with this lower guy. So I'm going to drag him in there, drag him in there, bring it down. And at this point, wherever it ends up is where it's going to live. Drag it down, and then this one's going to go a little off center. And then I'm going to put this heavy paint on top of that and just kind of press it down. So while I can't see anymore, I'm going to go ahead over this one. This one's very delicate. So I'm just going to kind of lay my tips in and just kind of pop that middle. All right, and I'm going to lay this one up here and press it down. So I've got this little guy. It's got to grab onto that corrugated open too. Okay, you stay down. You got to stay down. This is going to take longer to dry, so you're probably going to have to go back and babysit these. All right, that's starting to stick. All right, so now let's get this little baby one down by the words. I'm going to let it overlap, the snowman and the words. Kind of just brings it all together, that it was all a cohesive piece. Another kind of delicate one. So I'm going back to the ones I put on first, just make sure they're sticking. I can't tell which side was the glitter. This one had so much glitter on it. Definitely need more glue. It's shiny and glossy, but the glue's gone. I forgot where this one was. It can live right there. Okay. Almost done with the collage pieces, and then we've just got our finishing touches. Okay. All right. So they seem to be sticking pretty good. We're going to have to kind of watch them, kind of baby them till they grab. Some are sticking better than others. So while you have some wet glue on them, if you want to find your glitter, you can kind of dress them back up. And I can't find my spoon. You've got wet glue that we just might have overlapped. You can take your fingers and do this too if you want. Just before it all dries up. And then we'll dump the extra back off. That one's definitely going to need re-glued. Okay, so I'm going to dump this back into my container. Okay. So we might have got a little bit more glitter on there. Okay. Let me re-glue my guy here. I didn't want to stick. There's glue on it. Maybe there's not. Where was he? Are you there? All right, let's just set this heavy guy on him. All right, I'm just checking. All the rest seem to be staying in place. So now we want to get our paints out again. I might have some left. It's okay. I'm going to need some more of my white, which is this guy. And my paintbrush, which has that rosy red in it, so I got to really clean that out. Just a minute, guys. That's looking pretty clean. Okay. I'm going to take my white, and I'm just going to kind of marry this hill and this snowman. So I'm painting over top of where we added that snowman now. And it won't be perfect, but it just kind of keeps your eye. And I've got a little bit of kind of dried out cream, so it's not such a stark white. I'm going to see if I can bring that pink back in because I really kind of liked that ridge. So I'm just kind of laying my brush and I'm twisting it as I go. All right. So there's that. So now we've blended them together. While you've got some wet paint, grab your glitter, and I just took my fingers and I sprinkled it in. Whatever you got left. Because it'll just dry in that wet paint. Okay, so now what we're going to do, we want to make it feel like it's snowing. So I still have some of my white paint on my brush. This is where it gets messy. Oh, I used a fan brush for that. I had one out. It worked really well. But of course this one's already committed and wet, so I'm not going to waste my paint. So I'm going to throw some speckles, not quite wet enough. That is some really thick paint. So just test it till you start getting some speckles. And it needs to be snowing on the snowman too, so don't be afraid to get a few speckles here and there on him. Even on his hat. Okay, and now I'm going to do, whoops, I almost put my paintbrush in my glitter bowl and not my water. I should find that fan brush. Here it is. It really did work so well. All right, so let's try it again. Look at that. My gosh, why didn't I just give up? That is super duper. You want to be able to read the words, but don't be afraid to throw some glitter on, some speckle on them. So now I'm going to go in and throw in just a teeny bit of the blue. Because snow isn't a perfect one color, right? All right, let me look at, ooh, I got some blue speckle down there and I love it. All right, I'm going to look at our original and, oh, I already see something I missed. I forgot to glue on our little heart. It should be dry now. Oh, I just think it adds so much, right? Just that little heart. So let's glue that down. And then we might be done. I'll just double check everything. Okay. I would have liked to use that heavy body gel on the snowflakes, but I just didn't think the delicacy of the snowflake could take the push that it takes to put that heavy body down, if that makes sense. Okay, so I also have a fine tip black, really fine, not a glaze pen. So this is a Sharpie, really fine tip. And what I also did was lightly did an outline. I'm just going in one direction first on the words. And I don't always go straight. And it's okay. Okay, so they're outlined just a little bit so they stand out. And I did the same thing, turn it this way, along the brim. So let's see. Yep, I think I did this with the glaze pen, but this is a narrower brim. So I'm going to do that. And then this isn't going to show on that black, but the glaze pen might show a little bit, which I set it aside. So I'm also going to do the same thing and outline. You just don't know if these things are going to add or not, so just try it. And then I'm just going to do a couple of cross hatches. I'll bring it up close to the camera so you can see. I'm going to watch until it gets there. Looks like my video on me may have froze up a bit. So let me hit refresh. It's going to be held there for a really long time for you guys. Okay, I'm going to turn it just a little bit, see if the light will grab it. There you go, you can see it a little bit. That was good timing. All right, let's take a look at our original. I'm just kind of looking over to see if I missed anything. And we'll set it. So now I definitely had different circles this time when I made my snowman. And he's got a little different face, but no face is the same, right? Oh, I see something else that I did. If you have a white pen, let me grab one. I should have one fairly handy. Bear with me. I would use a paint pen. Okay, shake it a little bit to get that ink flowing. Do you hear the ball going? There it goes. All right, let's just see. All right, so then I did a couple of white dots there. We might just put a little dot in his eye for fun this time. We've got our snowflakes going. I don't think anything else needs a white accent because you've got the snow already on his hat. And I think we've got it. So thank you for joining me. You could go back and add more layers if you'd like. You know, take your stencil and throw some more stencils in there. Looks like I had a little darker blue. I don't think I particularly liked it, but you can. I used this phthalo blue and then I mixed it with some white. But I think I'm going to leave mine for now. But if you want the depth, because it is kind of nice to add it, you could come back in and carefully add those around there. And we'll call that a wrap. All right. Thanks for joining me. Have a great rest of your day, whatever day this is that you watch. And I'll see you again soon. I need to stand up and turn off my phone. All right. Bye now.